I love starting off my morning. My name is Joffrey Teague. Thank you guys for all being here. I love starting off my mornings with coffee and getting to play guitar. So thank you guys for having me, and I'll turn it over.
Thank you so much, Joffrey. What a great way to begin the morning. This is Creative Mornings. This is our very first Audience Takes the Stage. We're really excited to get to the 3 amazing speakers we have. But first, why are we here? What is this thing? What is Creative Mornings? I'm really excited to have you guys all here today. For those who are joining us for the first time, or for those who are joining us from outside of Lexington, what do we try to do? Creative Mornings is all around the globe talking about this theme of ripple. Creative Mornings is a global network. We have chapters anywhere from Bangkok to San Francisco to New Orleans. And all around the world, they're giving talks from local speakers interpreting the theme. In Lexington, we try to do 2 big things with Creative Mornings. One, we try to connect our creative community. From audio engineers to musicians to videographers to coders. It's about connections. It's about building connections. When we're in person, that means with a coffee and donut and meeting up beforehand. When we're in virtual, that means connecting over the chat, and we're doing our best we can to try to make those connections. But the second big part of Creative Mornings is about these amazing speakers we're getting ready to hear from. How can we elevate Lexington's talent to the globe? This goes up on a global channel, and we're really excited about that. So that's what Creative Mornings is. Now I want to tell you a little bit about who supports Creative Mornings. So first up, I want to thank some of our global partners. I want to thank MailChimp. MailChimp has supported Creative Mornings now for 11 years. They are currently focusing their marketing strategy on small businesses. So what I'm really excited about is our volunteers are dropping in the chat a link to the programs that they're doing around small businesses. Second, I want to thank Basecamp. I'm a user of Basecamp. Basecamp is a project management tool. And now they're doing something around the water cooler. Learn about your community's favorite books, about writing a powerful email, about anything. They're doing multiple things. So you can write them an email. Right now, it's what's the best advice you've been given. They're collecting all of this up, and they're combining it all up and writing it in an email. So that's something they're doing with Basecamp and Hey. And then our next partner is Skillshare. This is our newest partner. They're an online learning community helping millions take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare is an online learning platform, and we're really excited that they're doing something very meaningful with access to thousands of inspiring classes. Through an exclusive limited time, they're offering 40% off to the Creative Mornings community through a premium membership. So a volunteer in our chat is going to drop that in there on how to do that. All right, so we have all of you online right now. Before I thank our amazing Studio 46 partners, I want you guys to drop into the chat what you've had for breakfast this morning. And if I could get the screens here on the people in the audience, that would be awesome so I can see them. And then that way, if you drop in the chat what you've had for breakfast this morning, oh, there we go, nothing for breakfast so far. We've got coffee. We've got a glass of water. All right, this is our next question. We're focusing on ripples today. What's one small act of kindness that's made a really big impact in your life? What's one small act of kindness that's made a really big impact into your life? We're going to talk about ripple effects. Anyone have some small act? Has anyone bought you something or opened the door from you on a really bad day? So write that in the chat. Kind of think about that small act of kindness. While you're thinking about that, handwritten notes, I want to go ahead and thank our Studio 46 partners who we are in this awesome studio today. They're going to tell you a little bit about what they do.
Everyone has a unique and important story to tell. Studio 46 Media will bring your vision to reality through video production, live events, or virtual hybrid meetings. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then what's a video worth? Studio 46 Media will help you create effective and strategic video content, ensuring that you're able to cultivate a message that shares your unique story with the community. Interested in sharing your message in a memorable way? The Studio 46 Media Live Events team is ready to help you with your project. Whether you're looking to impress attendees with an in-person experience, host a virtual meeting, or a hybrid of the two, we can make any option of your choosing remarkable. No matter what's going on in the world, Studio 46 Media will help your message reach the people who need to hear it most. To learn more, visit studio46media.com.
Thank you so much, Studio 46, for all that you do. Thank you. And for those who are joining us on Facebook Live as well, that was a little bit of what Studio 46 can do. They can help us stream to Facebook Live or YouTube Live, making this more accessible. So thank you to Studio 46, to all the people here today that have made us look so awesome, who've really thoughtfully and intentionally helped us think through this virtual experience, this virtual gathering. Thank you, Studio 46. So while we've been doing that, I've been seeing the really thoughtful, small acts of kindness someone has helped you with. A neighbor calling to check during COVID. And Tanya Torp giving you guys a shout out here on the professionalism, but I saw handwritten notes, so something we're going to talk about here in a little bit. As we dive into Ripple, before we get there, we have a 30-second pitch. So if we are going to invite our 30-second pitch, let's see if they are on the line.
I'm here. I think I've been unmuted.
You are, Mary Ellen. So we have Mary Ellen with us. Have you ever given a 30-second pitch before?
I've given a 30-second pitch, not here on Creative Mornings.
All right. So here's the drill. What we're going to do is we're going to start the timer. You're going to have 30 seconds, and then we're going to give you some hand jazz off when you hit your 30 seconds. Are you ready? You're from the Wall Street Greeting. All right, Mary Ellen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, Wall Street Greetings is located in Versailles, Kentucky, and we sell greeting cards. So thank you for letting me connect here with this creative community. We are looking for a website assistance, and what that creative would be able to do is help us with our user experience on our site. We sell, like I said, B2B, working with brands such as Amazon.com, Bank of America, US Bank are some of the brands that we are thrilled that we get to partner with. We're mainly a national business. We sell about 3 million cards a year. It's really a pleasure to connect with this community and to lead in with a handwritten note being a nice thing that someone has had do for them, because that's kind of the basis of our small business of about 10 to 15 people. It's a part-time position. You can find more information on the link that I'll put here, but Wall Street Greetings is our website, and you look for the Join Our Team, link at the bottom to find information. Are the hands going?
Wall Street Greetings. I see we've got that in the chat as well. Thank you, Mary Ellen. And you are based here in the Lexington area?
Well, we're in Versailles, Kentucky, but many of our employees are from Lexington. And I know we had somebody from Louisville joining. This could be remote work.
Well, that's awesome. It's nice to know that we have global companies working here with the Lexington talent. So thank you so much for being part of the Lexington creative community and giving a 30-second pitch this morning.
Thank you.
So those 30-second pitches help us realize what's going on. Sometimes it's so hard to narrow down to one speaker, so 30-second pitches are an amazing way to get to meet other creatives. So now on to the main point of the show. If you guys have never joined Creative Mornings before, what we do every month is we have a theme. We're given a theme by the global headquarters that all our chapters are interpreting. So we have people from New Orleans and we have people from Austin and Portland interpreting this theme of ripple. We've decided to do an audience takes the stage. So we're going to hear 3 different takes on ripple this morning. And I'm going to give you a little beautiful prose that we got from headquarters around ripple. Everything you do has the power to create a ripple effect. Like an object breaking a water surface, our actions cause a series of ever-expanding waves that impact, stretching far beyond our individual reach. It's a momentum. As momentum builds, even the smallest actions can end up having a profound impact. Our voices can inspire movement. A single act of kindness can save a life. No matter how small it may seem in the moment, what you do matters. This month, we invite everyone that's joining us today to pay attention to your small personal ripple, to examine how your impact expands beyond your inner circle, and find ways to pay attention and pay the positivity forward. If you're feeling brave, this month can be time to explore depths of your world. Dare to plunge below the surface and invite deeper connections in. This theme was chosen by our Tel Aviv chapter, the exploration of ripple. And so with that, to kick off, our audience takes the stage. I'm going to invite Rachel Sawyer to the stage.
Morning, everyone. As Jamie said, I am Rachel Sawyer, and I am currently the creative director at Big Ass Fans, and I'm very excited to speak to you about my own experience with Ripple this morning. So most think about ripples as an intentional cause and effect. You throw a stone into water, and it ripples. You push a domino over, and it knocks others down. But often we're caught in an effect that we had no intention or plan of ever being caught in. We get hit, drug into, blindsided, or just involved in someone else's ripple or some other cause that's affected our lives. To me, it's how we respond and adapt in these unintentional ripples that shape, refine, and define you. At least it was for me. It was shared with me when I took this role that 11% of titled creative directors in America were female. That stat took me back and made me think, how did I get here? I never dreamed of being part of such a power stat, never dreamed of being a creative director at a $500 million global company, and certainly never dreamed I would be talking about really big fans all day. Being in the 11% made me think back and reflect on how did I get here? And what am I doing with this honor and responsibility? So let me start with a how did I get here? When I think back on my career so far, this idea of unintentional ripples couldn't describe it better. Every job or industry I worked in wasn't planned, wasn't a traditional route to get to where I am today, and wasn't at all what I thought would fill my resume. But each one near perfectly prepared me for the next. Honestly, it all felt a little aimless. Was anyone going to take my experience seriously? How does it work to go from the music business to nonprofits to really big fans? It was only in retrospection that I began to see how the unintentional, the unplanned, and the untraditional, the unexpected ripples perfectly prepared me for what lied ahead. So let me go back to how I got here and connect these ripples for you. Out of college, I helped 2 filmmakers begin to figure out what it took to make a full-length documentary. In the middle of that, I got an opportunity to go on tour as a crew member with some incredible professional artists and travel all around the country. I retired my suitcases for a brief stint at an office job and realized I wasn't made to do the same thing every day. I pulled back out my suitcases and started chasing disasters around the country and the world with an international disaster relief organization. Then realizing there's a balance between variety and stability, I found my way to Big Ass Fans. And at Big Ass Fans, I found a creative challenge unlike anything I had ever faced before. So wait, I get that's a lot. A documentary, touring, natural disasters, and now high volume, low speed fans. How does that all connect? So I had no idea how to make a documentary or start a nonprofit when I met those two filmmakers. But I started to figure it out and learn what it was like to work with incredibly talented and creative people. I took that figure it out mindset and found a different group of incredibly talented people when I went on tour. As part of a touring crew, we handled all of the tour and show logistics. And for my artist, all the band and crew lived on the same tour bus. So I learned a lot about interpersonal dynamics with your coworkers. I learned a lot about how to work in a constantly changing environment in a different city and with a different venue staff every day. And I learned a lot about flexibility and humble confidence. In disaster relief, I helped coordinate volunteer efforts for natural disasters around the world. All of those lessons from touring equipped me to be able to leave at a moment's notice to go who knows where, to work alongside all different kinds of people, to think situationally with each different disaster, and know with confidence when I walk into a community that no two disasters are the same, but the road to recovery is. And then I found Big Ass Fans. And like I said before, I found a creative challenge at Big Ass Fans that I had never seen. Sure, there was the dynamic of a heavily involved founder CEO, then there was navigating an acquisition, and then the post-acquisition rebuild, and that certainly was a lot. But the creative challenge wasn't just those features or factors, but more so the fans themselves. See, there's no playbook for how to market massive fans. It's a new industry, and our product portfolio is so broad that if you've got a flat surface, you really can use one of our products. So how do you effectively market a commoditized product to everyone? And that's the creative challenge. So from figuring it out with filmmakers, to hustling on tour, to working around the world with all kinds of people, to keeping a level head when having to react and respond in the moment when things quickly change, each unintentional ripple of my career impacted the next to teach and train me how to think quickly, intelligently, creatively, and with the people around me to meet the task at hand. And so here we are. As a female creative director, I'm in the 11% in America. So what am I going to do about it? I'm going to do what I've always done. I'm going to work with the people around me to encourage, teach, train, listen, lead, and do together. Because in all of my past experiences, the consistent theme, what made each thing I did worth doing, was the people I worked alongside. They taught me the most and shaped me into the professional that I am today. Because teamwork really does make the dream work. The past year has taught us a lot of lessons and a lot about ourselves. And the big one for all of us is the repercussions of isolation, especially as creatives. That creative, collaborative environment is one most of us thrive in and for, and this pandemic has put our creativity to the test. But this was another creative challenge I was ready to rise to and to continue to lead my team and those I work with through. See, I believe the best work comes from working together. Each person brings a unique perspective and a unique way of doing things to the table. Each deserves a chance to be heard and a chance to learn from one another. You've got to work through the bad ideas to get to the good ones, and often the best ideas aren't attributed to just one person. Collaboration, especially creatively, can be scary and difficult, but it can also be so fruitful and fulfilling. I see my role as a creative director not to sit in the corner and come up with all of the good ideas, but to lead and inspire my team and those I work with to do and be their best. My designers design better than me. My writers write better than me. But what I do is I connect it all together. I bring us around that table, create the space for us to share and to learn from each other and to collaborate. I do all I can to keep us on track and on brand, which with creatives is a little difficult sometimes, but in that seek to create a safe space to grow, to try, and to excel. While teamwork does make the dream work, it also comes with its frustrations. We don't always get to choose who we work with or what we get to do. We're often impacted in ways out of our control or desires by those unintentional ripples all around us. But it's what we do in those moments, how we respond to the unplanned, how we roll with the unintentional that shapes us and teaches us the most. I know it certainly did for me. And I want to leave you with this challenge. When you get hit with that unplanned effect, with someone or something else's ripple, what are you going to do about it? Will you push back, give up, get frustrated, or will you throw in your own rock and see what happens? Or will you ride it out? Will you look around you and see what kind of opportunity that it could bring and what kind of people you might get to work with and work alongside? Will you begin to see the connection points of how what you did prepared you for what you're doing and how what you're doing could prepare you for what's next? Never would I have dreamed that my career would have held what it has held so far. Tour buses to floods, hurricanes to HVLS fans. But each of these steps, these ripples, shaped me, taught me, and made me who I am. And they continue to define the way I lead those around me. And I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you.
This is the hardest part, that they can't hear your applause. So there's lots of applause. I see the yellow hands. So congratulations. Thank you to our first audience takes the stage. We will hear from Rachel in just a minute. We will invite all of our audience takes the stage members back on stage. But now we're going to go right to our next one. We have Ashley Oliver online with us. I see you, Ashley. Ashley, the floor is now yours.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. 4 years and 8 months ago, I was drowning. 6.5 miles from my apartment in downtown Minneapolis at 10:30 p.m., I got a frantic phone call on July 6, 2016. Have you seen Facebook? She typed. My heart dropped as I waited for her text bubbles to manifest to bad news. Another Black man killed by the police. His name's Philando. I think he went to Central. His girlfriend and daughter were in the car. He died on Facebook Live. We're heading over. I think we'll need a lawyer present, so I'll see you soon. I don't remember the drive to St. Paul. I was on autopilot. I ran through the video I had just seen in my head. I just remember the blood on his shirt, being so surprised, thinking it had to be a play, a joke, something. And by the time I got to the intersection of Larpenteur and Fry, I picked up the video again. It had 500 shares. And hours later, when I got back in my car, over 10,000 shares and texts from friends in South Carolina and Nevada and Toronto. Are you okay? What's happening? What's going on? I didn't have an answer. And by the next morning, the world knew what happened here, and the world was weary. Protests exploded not only in the Twin Cities, but all over the world as organizers coast to coast and overseas demanded accountability for the extrajudicial murder of Philando Castile. My own mother pleaded with me to stay inside, wrestling the necessity of my work, being a civil rights attorney and legal chair of the Minneapolis NAACP, but also panicked about losing her daughter at the hands of violence. But I couldn't stay inside. The city needed answers about law. They needed space to process what happened. They needed attorneys to bail protesters out of jail. And I felt it was my responsibility to show up. I was in over my head. I admit the water was eye level, but I was paddling, sputtering, treading water to do the work that the people needed. A few days later, I felt my body was losing steam. My shoulders were locked up so high to my neck, it looked like earrings. My feet were calloused after marching for miles, after rallies, after running from tear gas. My heart rate was through the roof because I wasn't sleeping. If I wasn't answering a text about stop and frisk or a question about First Amendment rights, I was imagining the astonishing red blood of Philando flashing across his chest when I closed my eyes. I knew I couldn't live like this. So a week after the 6th, I found myself at a yoga studio, determined to relax my body, which will hopefully allow my mind and my soul to follow. I already had a yoga mat, and I admittedly wasn't an avid practitioner. Every studio I went to Minneapolis was full of skinny little women wearing white women who looked like I had a third head when I entered the room. So I just meditated in my apartment. This day, though, I felt like I needed community. I knew I needed to stop furiously kicking in the water. I needed to float. And I thought there'd be no better place than yoga studio. The class started off normally, trying to clear my head of the trauma of the past week, of the past 400 years rather, was hard, and I was getting frustrated. Instead, I chose to focus on the calming voice of the yoga teacher. And when it was time to express the pose known as downward dog, a yoga pose where you're traditionally on all fours, head down, hips up, she bounced around the room with a jovial voice and said, "All right, let's get those ghetto booties all up in the air." I proceeded to touch my back, attempting to get my hips to arch higher. The wave of embarrassment and fury and horror smacked me across my face. I looked up at her, praying for confirmation that I was in a nightmare, but she looked down at me, smiling, before bouncing off to correct someone else. I held the position. I held my embarrassment. 2 drops of tears bounced off my mat. I silently cried through the rest of the practice. I felt like an idiot. I came here to release some of the pain and trauma and pressure I've been carrying from the world, only to have this white woman microaggress against me, referring to my bottom as a ghetto booty and to touch my body without my consent. I finished the rest of the class, which was a miracle. And by the time I reached Shavasana, the final pose where you're traditionally on your back, palms outspread and legs wide, 2 rivers of tears were on each side of my mat. When it was over, I didn't have the strength to explain to her how she had harmed me, how she had created a hostile space, how I, as a Black woman, was traumatized by her words and her touch. I just left. Because when you're drowning, you don't have enough oxygen to do much else but survive. So I went back to surviving. And ever since the incident, I became more convinced that yoga just wasn't for me. All the students I've been to were problematic. One asked me if they were okay with playing the N-word in class. Another asked if I can get to the back of a post-class photo. So I endeavored for other physical outlets to express myself. But last summer, after the extrajudicial murder of George Floyd, I found myself feeling hopeless again. This time, though, I wasn't with my community in Minneapolis. I was here in Lexington, stuck at home in the middle of the pandemic, and my anxiety had risen to an all-time high. I didn't know how to clear my head, how to process my thoughts, how to calm my heart rate, how to sit with the pain that I was witnessing yet again. 2 weeks after Mr. Floyd's murder, my best friend told me about this scholarship. A yoga studio in Austin, Texas, was giving out completely free scholarships for Black folks who want to become yoga teachers. I was initially skeptical. All the incidents of harm I experienced had made me convinced that yoga wasn't for me, but the gesture seemed authentic and opportunity was free. So we started this journey to become yoga teachers. And as soon as I started this yoga teacher training, I was met with instructors who understood what was happening, who understood that Black bodies were being traumatized by the world, who understood we needed space to allow our bodies and souls to heal, who understood that the way that our community needed yoga now more than ever was of paramount importance. I learned the importance of pranayama, one of the 8 limbs of yoga, which is the practice of the regulation of breath. And at this time, I was having panic attacks every other day, something that had never happened to me before. And I was drowning in my anxiety. But learning how to breathe more intentionally, how to synchronize my breaths, helped me regulate my feelings and change my life. I was hooked. I was so excited. I wanted every person to know that yoga can be an important tool in a toolkit of self-care. And while I was ready to get on my soapbox and spread the metaphorical gospel of yoga, so many Black folks in my community were not trying to hear it. I got responses refuting my praise. Yoga is for white people. I'm not flexible enough to do yoga. My grandma would kill me if I do yoga. She thinks it's for the devil. Are you praying to weird gods now? I can't afford yoga. That's expensive. My booty cannot fit in Lululemon jeans. I have Lululemon leggings, and I cannot afford them. The last yoga class I went to, I was ignored. The last yoga class I went to, I was hypervisible. The last yoga class I went to, I was called out. The last yoga class I went to, I was expected to speak for all Black people. They more or less told me, good luck with your journey, but they'll pass. And I was struck. They were drowning too, but they still didn't see yoga as a viable booty to hold on to. And that sparked an idea. I created my own little corner of the internet and made a yoga diary to detail my journey of being dark-skinned, big-haired, curvy-sized Black woman who has the audacity to want to become a yoga teacher during the civil rights movement in a pandemic. I shared what I knew, that yoga was created by people of color, that yoga had historically been practiced by Black women. Rosa Parks herself had been a longtime practitioner. That my quest to find balance in mental health was imperative, and that self-care for Black women is revolutionary. I launched this Instagram page at the end of July. And at first, my only follower was my best friend. By August, I had 500 followers. And if I type this, I had a community of nearly 5,000 followers from all over the world who see this little ripple I put out into this big ocean. And while I'm proud of the community I've built around honest conversation about social justice and wellness, I wasn't satisfied. So in November, I launched an apparel for Black Girls Who Do Yoga, reminding them and everyone that self-care is revolutionary. And as Audre Lorde said, it's an act of self-preservation, and that's political warfare. The response to this unapologetically Black apparel was shocking to me and showed me that the wellness space need more things that speaks to the contemporary needs of equality and justice. So I built my own brand. Yoga and Mahogany is my lifestyle brand, and it features and focuses on revolutionary wellness for all, with over 300 items that feature and showcase that wellness is for the culture. I launched it officially on my own domain last week, and the response has been wild. And every time I see someone wearing something that I designed, when I see that someone says that this shirt, this bag, or this button sparked a conversation about social justice and wellness, it's humbling. And this ripple that I created has capacity to become a wave, and I'm honored. And even more importantly, I'm starting to offer my expertise as a civil rights attorney and a director of diversity and inclusion to make yoga spaces more diverse, more inclusive, and more equitable with radical empathy. Offering facilitations on power and privilege, talking to folks about stimulating cultural change, creating climate surveys, and more inclusive hiring practices are just some of the ways yoga studios have already reached out to me to teach. I never want another Black woman, I never want another marginalized person to feel the way I felt that week after Philando was murdered, drowning in their grief, drowning in those spaces that were meant for healing. And I'm so proud I get to assist members of the wellness community to make their own ways for the people who need the most. I've played small for so long in my life, triggered myself because of imposter syndrome, because of racial trauma, because of my anxiety. But I'm so proud of in this moment, I am daring greatly and standing tall. These ripples of hope that I've created over the past 8 months are now becoming raucous, beautiful waves of justice that are crashing into racism, crashing into transphobia, crashing into ableism, crashing into misogyny. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not drowning and I'm not holding my breath. I know that I and everyone who looks like me deserves to breathe deeply. We deserve the space, the pace, and the grace to put a hand on our belly, a hand on our heart, to breathe in, breathe out as the ripples of revolution roll in with the tide. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, thank you. And are you wearing one of your shirts?
I am, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So our members from our volunteer team are going to drop her Instagram handle into the chat. Both of hers, definitely Yoga and Mahogany. Be sure to follow that. We will hear from Ashley in just a little bit. All right, so for our next Audience Takes the Stage, I want to invite Cecilia Karen.
Hello, 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 everybody. How's everyone doing? Hi, I'm Cecilia, and I am a storyteller. That's how I like to introduce myself. Words have power. So when Jason brought up the topic of ripple to me, I wondered, what stands out to me when someone says ripple? Words. Goo goo gaga for babies. Ha ha when you laugh. Words have such great meaning, power, and influence over us. Ripple is the ability and opportunity to inspire the world around you. I was inspired by one question. Who are you? A lot of times when we meet each other, we introduce ourselves. We say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I am a teacher. I am an entrepreneur. I am this and I am that, but who are you? Faced in a moment of understanding, faced in a moment, in a crowd, in an audience, who are you truly trying to be? Who do you represent? I was born in Congo, Central Africa, and I challenge everyone to please find my country on a map. I was born in a city called Kinshasa, and by the time I was 9 years old, I had already moved to 4 different countries. Blame my father. But these were all great experiences because everywhere I went to, I was a foreigner. I was different. I was not local. And every single time I met someone, I did not have the opportunity to say, I am certain title. I, instead, had to build a platform to say, who I am is this. I chose to be a storyteller, one who valued words, one who valued meaning, and one who valued that each person has the power, the opportunity to represent themselves. So, we have a responsibility to build our community by asking this question, who are you? Yet, do we do that? I feel like a lot of times we spend our days reacting. Sometimes the ripple that comes into our lives does not come as an actual action from us. It just comes as a continuous flow. Rachel, my other speaker, spoke about unintentional ripples. A lot of times we react to those unintentional ripples. But how many times do we actually sit and stare at the mirror and answer the question, who am I and how do I represent myself in this world? It's very easy for us to sit within ourselves. It's very easy for us to sit within our circles in comfort, embracing the fact that I am a teacher and I am an entrepreneur. I am a businesswoman and this is who I am. But what does that tell me about your heart, your morals, your values? How does that embrace people who are not like you? How does that embrace your representation, your power, your truth to the world? When I challenge people to ask the question, who are you? I'm not challenging them to give me their titles. I'm not challenging them to tell me whether they were educated or not. I'm challenging you to tell me what makes you. What makes your heart beat? What makes you tick? What wakes you up in the morning? Because it might be a paycheck, but that's not what gets you through life. Ripple struck my heart because as a 23-year-old, a lot of people ask me, what gives you the right to ask, who are you? And I say, as a 23-year-old, everything gives me the right to ask, who are you? It's powerful. Imagine someone asking you to present yourself instead of defining you as a girl, a black woman, an African woman, a Congolese African woman. I have been so defined before I even had the right to say who I was. So, not again, never again. Every single moment and every single opportunity that I have, I chose to answer the question. I chose to define myself by the incredible spirit of the community that I was raised with. That is that I am a storyteller. I have a gift, a passion, and now a career to be able to help people tell their story, to be able to help people answer the question of who they are, who they want to be, how much more can they be? Because it is a lifelong journey of exploration, a lifelong journey that can never just be answered in 1 second. So, we live out our words. Power have words. And in actual fact, words are powered by us. Do not diminish the power that your words have. When you ask yourself, who are you? That has power. So when you ask someone else, who are you? That has power too. Don't place your own frustrations and definitions on people when we are meant to live out and breathe out beautifully. So, in closing, take hold of the present, your presence, and your identity. Define your life by your tongue. And remember that you are defining others by your tongue. So before I go, I want to ask you a question. Who are you? Thank you.